Hello and welcome everyone. We have Sujata Prasannan with us here today, and today we'll be talking about her book, Being You Matters. And I am Shilpa Agarwal, the book coach from Chapter One Publishers. So, welcome to this interview where we're going to chat with Sujata about her journey of, from wanting to become an author, from that first desire till finally doing it, and maybe fast forward to 2 years almost now. So welcome, Sujata.
Hi, thank you.
Hi. So I want to hear, this is where I want to start the chat with. What was that point, that decision making factor? And actually even tell us, for how many years have you been sitting on this book, and what made you decide that yes, I'm going to write it?
I think the yearning for writing this book has been there maybe at least 10 years. That urge in me just to, that I have to write a book. And it's been just nudging me. And then I just push it aside thinking that I don't have anything to say. I don't know what I'm supposed to write and so on. And then as it kept, the voice, I guess, kind of kept going louder, saying, right. Then I thought, okay. And then I had no idea what to do. So I started sort of Googling it, looking for a writing coach or book or something. And then I came across someone. And then I thought, so I signed up for that person's program, and then sort of wrote a little book regarding stress management and all that. So I thought, okay, my job is done. I've written that book, and I left it like that. But after that, that urge was still there.
Yeah.
It's like, you need to write. And I'm like, I thought I already wrote the book. Why is it still there? And then, it still was there. And then I started looking, and then I signed up for other book programs where it was kind of like an online program, but it never happened. You write a little bit and then you leave it, and there was no drive factor, I guess.
Wow.
And then finally, I came across your program, and I don't know, then it to me, it was like when the timing was right, the right teacher will turn up, and then you start your journey. And then even at that point, I had no idea what I was going to write about. And then when I started looking at how your book structure program was and all, it felt like something more doable. Like I felt there'll be more support, and it was in a group. So and that's where the starting point came to actually writing my book.
Wow, that was such a it was such a rich answer. There's so many questions, follow-up questions I'm getting. One thing, I'm glad that that voice in you only kept getting louder, and it did not die down a slow death, because of which you didn't like just shut down after that one superficial subject book, right? Because there was a deeper truth,
That's right.
there was a harder truth to speak. So you did the hard job. And the other thing that you said, when the timing is right, the teacher will appear. There's a very famous quote saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
True.
Right. So
True.
I think you had sat enough on your real story, on your real message. Your story was never about stress management. It's about speaking your truth, which you have done in your book, right? And when you had actually, you had unconsciously maybe decided, I am writing the book. And then I came into your awareness, and it happened, right? So
yeah,
what a beautiful, and it's good insight as well, that you have tried a few other programs. I'm sure you would have mentioned this to me, but I've forgotten. that you
Yeah.
have tried other programs and, yeah, did bits of it, but then this one finally took you through to conclusion. So I'm glad it's working. So let me share with you. I wanted to introduce you properly to the audience. So this is Sujata's book. It's called Being You Matters. And yeah, her loud and clear message is be you. I like that, the I don't know, call it beacon of light or whatever. There's this, yeah, strong light element in her cover design. I love that as well. So I'm going to read a little bit from the back, okay, so people get a taste of what to expect. When was the last time you acknowledged that you matter, that your feelings, opinions, and needs matter, that you do not have to tolerate abuse, toxic relationships, and societal norms for the sake of others? If you've been stuck wondering how to get out or away from all the heartaches of people pleasing and dysfunctional or hostile relationships, go no further. So, just this is what you can expect from Sujata's book. And before, without me revealing much, Sujata, tell us a little bit from in your words, what your book title is about and what some insights people could get when they dig into your book.
Basically, I mean, what I've written is my personal journey of growing up, all the hard, painful kind of experiences that I went through. And during my time of all those pain, I always wondered, how to, I mean, during that time while I was going through, and in the initial part, that the internet wasn't even there. It
Mm-hmm.
was just the you could say, when the internet was just starting to be introduced, so there was not much information that I could go and just Google or look up or anything like that. And I used to always wonder, why couldn't someone write books or have this knowledge, so when those who need support can at least turn to somewhere.
Mm.
And
So I'm just going to interrupt and just ask for
yeah,
some clarification. When you're saying those who need support, like, are you talking about a specific area of support that you were looking for or just general?
it's just because in my case, like, I just kept everything to myself, um, kind of suppressing all that pain and stress.
So
And
what pain? Actually, I'm going to take you a step back. Can you
okay,
just briefly tell us about your story?
it's more, I would say, emotional and verbal abuse.
Mm-hmm.
um, I guess, I mean, it's part of the um, cultural way of bringing up children, and later into marriage and all that. There was a lot of verbal and physical, not so much physical, but more verbal and emotional abuse.
Yeah.
And so it was just like I didn't know how to handle in that scenario. And because I was the eldest child, and all the expectation was you just do as you're told, you do not
Mm-hmm.
um, answer back or be
Yeah.
defiant in any way. So
Mm-hmm.
it was just, handle. And
You
at
set
that
the
time, I
example
didn't know, I
for your
didn't know
siblings.
otherwise. Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know otherwise, as it was as if that is the norm.
Mm,
That's what you have to grow up and be and so on. I didn't know otherwise.
yeah.
um and then that same thing that I went through um with my parent then went into my marriage, and then the same thing continued. So um yeah, so this is my journey, and then how I had to slowly find ways how to deal with it, and learn, heal myself, and learn techniques how to handle the pain and the stress. And that's when the internet started to bring in information. And then I realized, like, I don't have to go through all this, and I don't need to um,
Yeah.
face all this alone. There is actually ways of overcoming or at least facing all some of this adversity. And yeah, so going through all this then kind of helped me to finally stand up and say, no, I'm not going to put up with this, and move out of it.
Yeah. So thank you. I mean, I was, of course, aware of your story. We've done all this work together. There's so much emotional work gone in. This was mainly for the listeners. Um, so your book title is Being You Matters, Clearly, that's what you have felt, that validation of your existence was lacking, right?
Yeah.
So who is this book for, and what can they expect to find in this book?
It is for mainly women, I guess, but it can be men or women, but those who are going through similar kind of scenarios where, you have either you're going through some sort of domestic violence, or you're just in a very strong cultural scenario where your voice is not recognized, you can't be yourself, it's all about pleasing others. So
Mm,
anyone in these kind of scenarios where you kind of feel trapped and you don't know how to escape. So my intention is, if by reading this book, if you can get at least one or two steps to help you to process that pain you're going through, and then maybe get some ideas on how to move forward,
mm,
that's my intention of writing it, so that if it can help another person, then I feel I've done my the purpose of writing the book.
yeah, yeah. And also, like, we were talking a little while ago about, some women might be aware that they are going through abuse and they are maybe actively looking for ways to overcome it or to step out of, that situation. But, there could also be some women, as you said, who don't know that there is a better way. Like
Yeah,
you were in that situation and you thought you just have to take this as your destiny, right?
exactly.
Yeah. So just showing them, like through your book, your example, you're actually showing them that this woman, this author who has written the book, was exactly in the same shoes as me. And now, fast forward like 10, 15 years later, she has not only overcome that situation, but she has boldly put her story forward out there, you know, for some people to judge and for others to benefit from, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
do you
because
want
I
to
mean,
talk?
there will be two sides to it. There will be people who will like um
Yeah,
will be
clearly,
shocked at
this
how
is,
dare you write this kind of things, and
yeah,
it's supposed to be kept under the
carpet.
carpet or behind closed doors or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But I guess that's something you have to face if you want to, move beyond and help people to rise above this kind of attitudes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a beautiful question in my mind, a follow-up question. Yeah, like, this book is about, we were just reading some keywords which like stood out for me is, you know, move away from people pleasing and dysfunctional or hostile relationships. And look, the fact is, in the world, there is no perfect family. Every family has their element of dysfunction, right? It's
Yeah.
just what is the dysfunction and what is the intensity of the dysfunction? Is it
Yeah.
allowing everyone at least a reasonable amount of space to thrive, to grow, to express, and be their
Mm.
best self?
Yeah.
So yeah, we all have flaws, but to know where do we draw the line between
Exactly. Yeah.
dysfunctional
There's
and yeah,
it's every, like you said, every family, there's no perfect family. There is but it's about the give and take. There
mm,
should be a
that's
balance.
it. Yeah,
But
yeah,
if there's more, one person is taking and no giving, and that
yeah,
is causing pain to one person, then that's when
yeah.
there's a problem.
Eventually,
Yeah.
you will run out of fuel. There's only so
Yeah.
much you can give, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, what I like about your book is, and again, I have been so deeply involved, read every page, every word multiple times through the editing process and all that. What I like is, of course, you're sharing some details, of your experience. Uh, and when someone is in the thick of going through that situation now, there are tools in the book to manage their extremely stressful situation
Yeah.
and come to a place of sanity from where you can take wiser decisions and gather the courage and also find hope for the future. Yeah, so I want to hear, Sujata, what has this given you, like yeah, what has this given you and what is some feedback you've heard from people? What has this given you and what has this given others, this book? Just you writing this book, your journey.
I guess for me personally, it is, I have answered that voice and that yearning in me that I had to write this,
Yeah,
because now I don't have that voice telling me write a book, or you got to write something. So I feel like, okay, whatever I was guided to do, I've done that.
yeah,
And yeah, some of the people who have read the book have come back and said it has enlightened them, and they said it's like, oh, I learned something. Now I know how to use a particular tool to handle. Or it was just like they just felt relieved to know that there are options there. And for some people it was like, oh, I know someone who needs this book, and they have passed on the book.
yeah,
So for me, that is what I would want. It's for me, it's not like it has to become a bestseller or to sell and
yeah,
make
yeah,
money. That's not my
yeah.
intention. Even
Which
if 20
also,
people
yeah,
read and it has made an impact on them, I've done my job.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
my job
Because
objective.
imagine, when we put your book out there on Amazon and some random lady buying it in the US,
Mm.
which you had no means of reaching that family, that woman, and touching her life, right? And
Yeah.
now you have done that through
Yeah.
the medium of your book, right? So
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
story is not going with you to the grave without serving the purpose. Like, your experience, you went through all that discomfort, that abuse, and it would be a waste. You would be a, hurting soul if you didn't package it and say, okay, I've been there and this is my story. So you don't learn it the hard way.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah.
for me, especially, I felt like I went through the same scenario twice. Once as growing up, and then second time in my marriage as well. So it was like
Yeah.
the same
Enough.
lesson was repeating, and I felt like this is like the universe telling me there's something here for you to learn and to pass on. Unless you learn it, you're not going to come out of it. And then when I
Yeah.
came out of it, then it was like, okay, then there was a reason why I had to go through that, and
Mm.
I have to share it. Otherwise, there's no meaning in going through so much in life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah, I,
just a beautiful quote. I'm reading this from my phone. When you said just earlier that now there's no that restlessness is gone. There's no nudging that you have to write it because I did what I
mm,
had to do. So the quote is from the Bible. It's from an ancient text known as the Gospel of Thomas. It says, and I've shared this in the program as well with you guys in the Facebook group. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you, which is what you did.
mm, yeah,
If you do not bring forth what is within you, that what you do not bring forth will destroy you. So that voice constantly eating up at you, yeah. Um, yeah. So, I know we have discussed some plans, some, like outreach plans, and some, you were in talks with some communities. um, who do you wish discovers this book in terms of community or from anyone watching this interview?
I guess the community would be those, the first one, I guess, would be uh, women in domestic violence shelters.
Yeah,
Um, any form of suffering or pain that you're going through. Um, even communities, there are a lot of communities around the world still where culture is, and maybe even sometimes religion, that is so controlling for the
yeah,
women that they
yeah.
still don't have a voice, they still can't do things as much as they would like to.
Mm,
So yeah, those kind of communities where, reading something like this might give them some sort of hope, or
yeah,
kindle some sort of idea that, okay, I can do this, I don't have to go through this kind of suppression. There are
yeah.
outlets for me to find some peace. So for some people you may not be totally able to get out of it, but at least
Mm,
if you can find ways to bring some peace within you,
mm.
and move on with life a bit better than where you were
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
Yeah, so those are the main communities I would be targeting.
Right. Okay. So do you want to, I know you've touched upon this briefly right at the beginning. Can you tell me, what has been the most valuable aspect, or, talk me through the process of writing and publishing, and what was the most valuable for you in the process?
um I think the first thing is the way that you had structured the process of writing.
Mm,
So um when I was first thinking, it was like I had no idea where to start, how to put it in some sort of order or something. But the way your program was structured, it just helped to break it down to little chunks, and
mm,
kind of planning, even how to organize the chapters, how to come up with thoughts and ideas. um, so the structure helped a lot.
yeah.
And then secondly, I think it was also the group, when you come together as a group, and the dynamic somehow, for me, I believe
Yeah.
when a group of people come together, there's a reason why those particular people come together. So I think
Yeah.
the group dynamics that we were in was also very supportive, and we all kind of cheered each other to move on.
Yes.
And then as each week, as we shared our journeys, it was like some weeks it's so frustrating, nothing comes out, nothing, you can't write. But then you
Yeah.
listen to others, and either they've gone through similar, or the ups and downs. So
Yeah.
sharing it,
Yeah.
and
You could
pushing
have a
each
low
other
week.
on.
You could have a low week, and the other person
Yeah,
could have a very, high, big week.
yeah,
And you'll be like, okay, fine, let's get over this low week. I'll borrow some enthusiasm from maybe
yeah,
Simone, and I'm just gonna redesign my next week. I'm gonna
true.
pick it up. I'm gonna catch up. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that I think it was very, very supportive. And then even doing the one-on-one sessions with you,
Yeah.
you get a lot of insights, and you share things that you never thought of, kind of thing. And so I think, yeah, everything just flowed in very well, the way it was structured, and the way we moved out. So um yeah, once that structure was put in place, then I think the writing became so much more easier.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
initially when it was suggested maybe like 10 chapters or 12 chapters, and I'm like, oh my god, what am I going to write? I don't have that much content.
Mm, yeah.
But once it was sort of the way it was structured and put in, I didn't have to think too much. It was like, okay, this chapter I write the
Yeah.
topic, and automatically the flow just came, and it
Yeah.
happened. Then yeah, after that
Yeah,
it was
we
just
we
you
we
know
call it in the program, I call it stick to the scope, you know.
mm,
So
mm,
the thing is, I mean, just telling this for the others, it, of course. The beauty of the program is that uh, we invest a significant amount of time in planning and mapping out your book and each
yeah,
chapter in detail, So
yeah,
I think we spend, easily 6 to 7 weeks, depending. Someone takes a little bit longer, someone,
yeah,
you have to catch up. So 5 to 7 weeks minimum is what we're investing in just planning the structure. And then the writing becomes a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
nailed the scope of every chapter. So you're like, okay, I know exactly what to write. Now I'm going to go and expand each chapter, one
Mm,
chapter a
mm.
week. So that also gives you ample time to write. There's no pressure that, write 1,000 words a day or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think also um, it's also being realistic. It's not like when you come into the program, it's like, I think there were 6 of us, and it was not
Hmm.
like all 6 of us will get 100% success by the end of the
Yes,
program.
yes, yes.
So
And,
it
some take a bit
it
longer,
was,
some finish in
yeah,
plan. But, that's also, so you are that example of, personal drive and the structure. So the structure works when you work as well. Uh,
yeah, yeah,
so yeah, I think you pretty much finished the book in 20 weeks. That was the plan. And like a
yeah,
few weeks here or there because we went through the Christmas New Year break. So,
yeah,
we took our time off for that. And then, we came back, we picked up where we'd left it. Yeah, it was such a beautiful group.
yeah. It was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
group dynamics, everything. I don't know.
Um,
For me, I felt it was uh, an ideal scenario all in.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The whole thing worked
When
very
you
well.
said when people come together, it's always for a reason. It reminds me of Napoleon Hill's mastermind theory. Like, he says when there's two minds, or two or multiple minds working, there's these invisible, intangible entities that come into force. So when Sujata and I are talking, there's a third entity that exists right now, which is a combination of Sujata's and my mind. Can you imagine? Like there's a third force
Yeah.
play. Who knows it's true or not, but it looks like it's true.
Yeah, it feels like that,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
I do love the power of a group program with, a good amount of one-on-one. So yeah, thank you. It has been, I want to really highlight some, special, how Sujata had the uh, liberty to like design and add her own touch. So at the beginning of every chapter, as a bit of a coloring mandala, or like not a mandala, but this is artwork drawn by her daughter. And we wanted to just give this space in the book for the reader, for a stressed out woman, for a very very emotionally vulnerable woman, to either just appreciate that beauty or fill in those beautiful flowers. It's all flowery artwork, and we were able to incorporate that in the chapter. So there's always a unique way to make your book stand out and very you. I've not had artwork inserted ever before, in all my clients. And then at the end of each chapter, she finishes with a power toolkit. So, and then there's journaling prompts and her beautiful logo, her beautiful butterfly logo at the end of each chapter. So you can see there's power key understanding. Are you able to read it straight, or is it front side? Like, is it inverted?
No, yeah, it's correct.
It's correct, right? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
because I can
yeah,
see it inverted. Yeah.
yeah,
So, yeah, that's just what you will get through this book. And, I mean, yeah, I love the last chapter where you shared Charlie Chaplin's poem. Where is it? Yeah, she shared one of Charlie Chaplin's. I don't know, I'm missing where it's located, but
on page 151.
oh, okay. So, yeah. It's about, what he wrote, Charlie Chaplin's speech on his 70th birthday, as I began to love myself. Um, yeah, I won't read the poem, but that's a good takeaway from this interview. And go and explore that, check that out, read it, and feel into self-love. And if you're feeling called, to get started, write your book, in a group setting or one-on-one, just reach out. There's something for you. There's the right thing for you.
Yeah,
Sujata,
that
when I
voice,
publish,
if that voice is calling, then listen to it and take action. I mean, You don't know where it will lead you, but it definitely is a voice that is worth listening to, because once you've done it, it just brings you that peace, and you just feel like that, knowing that I've done something that I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the, like the calm smile on your face. Just really, you can sense the calmness and the peace and the satisfaction that I have. One of my recent clients told me, Shilpa, when he submitted the manuscript for the editing stage, he's like, Shilpa, I've done my bit. I can die now. That's the
Mm.
amount of peace you get, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
thank
Absolutely.
God, it's
Absolutely.
it's out of me and the ball is in your court. Now you're going to
Yeah.
tidy up and edit and finish the manuscript and all that. Yeah, that's the extent of satisfaction I've heard. So,
Yeah. And it also gives you, I think, more strength. For me at least, I felt, because writing it, you are, exposing your vulnerability. It puts
yeah,
you in a very vulnerable spot, and but once you get past that, I think it gives you a strength that,
yeah,
you are enough, you're capable, and you are you.
that's it, that's
And
it.
that matters.
And in closing, I'm gonna say that you have faced a lot of resistance and uh, you know, yeah, judgment, opinions from your family members because you're kind of exposing the dysfunction in the family, right? But this is not with the intention to demean anyone. It's just you are taking back your power and you're like, I'm going to use my power, my freedom of speech, and express what I felt. This is my side of the story. The other person
Exactly.
might think differently. So you have that freedom to express, to share your version, and in doing so, I know of course, we talked about your daughter and you've got a son. You are setting an example of how a man and woman should conduct themselves respectfully towards each other, right? You're teaching your
Absolutely.
children without actually teaching them. Your children have both been very involved in the manuscript process as well.
Yeah.
So, they get to see, like, my mother is you know, yeah, fire of energy, like a very strong character, a strong personality. She wouldn't take nonsense for anything.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah, just that my children seeing that is already an achievement for me.
it's a reward, isn't it? Like, at
Yeah.
least I know for sure your daughter will not settle for, anybody's low standards, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
and even your son will not, treat anyone like his mother was treated. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. Oh, my heart is so uh, melting. We should have, we would have been able to do a hug in the video. Like it's funny. Sujata and myself, we both live in Adelaide. It's quite rare for me to have a client local. I do have some clients though, but yeah, most are Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane. So, anyways, we keep on catching up for other reasons anyway. Thank you so much, Sujata. When I publish the book, when I kind of publish the video, I will share the links for people to go and check out your book on Amazon. Once again, for anyone wanting to check it out, that's my ring light. It's called Being You Matters by Sujata Prasannan. It's an inside out journey to empowerment. So go check out Sujata's book, and congratulations, Sujata, once again on being a published author, doing your life's, biggest contribution work. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
And I
you.
would also recommend anyone who has that yearning, please do the program and yeah, get your book out there.
Yeah.
You
Do
never
that.
know how many lives you'll touch through your words and through your book.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Sujata.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye bye.
See you.